Thank you so much to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. It was March 2nd, 1998, and cable channel Cartoon Network were introduced their most memorable and iconic eras throughout their 30-year history. Powerhouse. Named after Raymond Scott's music score used in several Warner Bros. Cartoons, it was noticeable for having newly animated bumpers that were a notable contrast to the recycled animation ID spots in the checkerboard era and the Starburst era that immediately followed. As someone who grew up with this era, I could tell you a lot of CN history happened during this time, which is why I took the liberty of making a comprehensive timeline of the Powerhouse era from its inception to its end in 2004. This piece of Cartoon Network history means a lot to me because it reminds me of a time where the channel wasn't just some kids network, it was made for animation lovers of all ages. After all,
everybody loves cartoons!
I'm so excited, you're probably more excited, so let's get started. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Every time you use a public Wi-Fi network, you're at risk of being hacked. Sounds like you need a VPN. That's where ExpressVPN comes in. ExpressVPN encrypts your network data through their secure encryption servers, preventing your personal info from being stolen. Want to watch restricted content from any country on Netflix? ExpressVPN got you covered. Not only that, but it protects you and your info from any device. It's the best VPN out there, and you don't have to take my word for it. Just ask Frederator, as they voted it #1. You can get your first 3 months free. Once again, thank you ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. Now, on with the show. In March of 1998, Cartoon Network introduced Powerhouse, a new update to the channel, which was accompanied by new bumpers and graphics. These were done by Atlanta-based animation studio Primal Screen, which would do a lot of CN promotional material. Funny story, once I got to meet one of the former animators to ask for a job at an animation studio he owned in my hometown. I didn't get the job, but he did give me this layout sheet of Porky Pig from the Fancy Anvil Award show. Back to what I was saying, these bumpers would depict a typical scene from the show you were watching with a sample of Powerhouse mixed with said show's theme. Most noticeably, the backgrounds were given color schemes to fit with the time of day the cartoons were airing. For example, weekday mornings the backgrounds would be yellow, in the afternoon they'll be green, evenings blue, and for the nights black. And for the action cartoons, the backgrounds would be purple. Additionally, more generic bumpers were created for cartoons airing on the network that wasn't owned by Time Warner, such as the 80s revival of Alvin and the Chipmunks, which started airing reruns this year. There are also new announcers for this era. One of the earliest was the late great Phil Hartman.
You're watching Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network.
After his tragic death, he would be replaced by his Simpsons co-star, Harry Shearer.
Welcome back to the Flintstones. You think Fred's ever gonna take that tie off?
While other announcers include Keith Sweat and Scott Sanders.
You're watching Batman on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Animaniacs, followed by Batman on Cartoon Network.
Sometimes various CN characters would take over.
Shaggy, don't freak out, man. I'm right here. Why not freaking out? No, but that zombie right next to you might freak at any moment. Zoe!
Debuting this year would be the Powerpuff Girls. Originally introduced as a short from world premiere Toons, the show was about 3 crime-fighting kindergartners with superpowers as they battled the villain of the week. For a while, this would be Cartoon Network's biggest hit and became a hit in merchandising, lasting for 6 seasons, specials, and a theatrical film. Acquired shows during this year would be Animaniacs, Batman the Animated Series, and the obscure Waynehead, which all recently ended their run on Kids WB. Beetlejuice, the animated series, based on the Tim Burton film, and on the Toonami side, Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, giving many kids their first exposure to anime. Also debuting this year will be Cartoon Network's Cartoon Theater. Hosted by the late Don LaFontaine, this Saturday night block will feature many animated non-Disney films from Hanna-Barbera, Warner Brothers, Universal, Don Bluth, and many others. The first movie to ever air was The Land Before Time. Cartoon Theater would also be the home of premieres of then-new direct-to-video releases. The original format of the block lasted until 2004. Notable marathons debuting this year was 50 Greatest Cartoons of All Time. I have very fond memories of this special. It was the first time I saw legendary animators like Chuck Jones and Joe Barbera, who become my animation heroes. And a Scooby-Doo marathon, those meddling kids, 25 hours a due, airing on a day the clocks moved back for daylight savings time. The wraparounds will spoof MTV's The Real World with recycled animation for the cartoons with new voice work. The wraparound segments will later be added as a bonus feature on a Scooby-Doo Greatest Mysteries VHS. June Bugs, a marathon of classic Bugs Bunny cartoons, minus the racially insensitive ones, returned this year. This particular year was notable for the network premiere of the 1995 short Carrot Blanca. (1999) would kick off with the debut of Ed, Edd n Eddy, created by Danny Antonucci of Lupo the Butcher fame. The series featured 3 unpopular preteen boys with the same name who spend their summers scamming the neighborhood kids out of their money with the pursuit of jawbreakers. Notable for being the first CNN original not being introduced by a What a Cartoon Show short, or produced by Hanna-Barbera, or made in the US. The show was very popular and would run on Cartoon Network until 2009, with the series finale TV movie, Ed, Edd n Eddy's Big Picture Show. Currently, it's Cartoon Network's longest running original series. Also debuting this year, Mike, Lou and Og, running until 2001, and another popular series, Courage the Cowardly Dog, a show about a timid pooch who has constant run-ins with the supernatural. This series would end in 2002, but had a successful life of reruns, as was the only other cartoon to have a complete series released on DVD. Cow and Chicken would end this year, but Johnny Bravo would return with new episodes without creator Van Partable's involvement. This retooled version had a new art style, as well as sharper writing and new side characters, and would last until 2002. Dexter's Lab would also air in its initial series finale with the TV movie Eagle Trip. While receiving mixed reviews from critics, it will become a favorite among fans. On the Toonami side, fan favorite Tom will make his debut and become the new host, replacing Space Ghost Motar. Notable blocks and marathons this year include Toonami's Midnight Run, Cartoon of the Day, a block that aired on Random Cartoon, usually airing weekdays after school, Boy Girl, a marathon of Powerpuff Girls and Ed, Edd n Eddy, Movie Marathon, the Jez's Millennium New Year's Eve Marathon, and Millennium. Cartoon Fridays will make its debut this year, the marquee block for new premieres of CN's original programming. In its initial format, CCF consisted of live-action segments featuring actors and actresses performing skits, which were Cartoon Network related, like livestock auctions, lottery shows, weather forecasts, etc. Notable specials include the Big Game Sylvester vs. Tweety, a spoof of the Super Bowl featuring Sylvester and Tweety cartoons, and a Scooby-Doo Project, a marathon of classic Scooby-Doo episodes and movies celebrating the 30th anniversary of the franchise. The promotion was accompanied by a short film spoofing the Blair Witch Project. It's pretty funny and I recommend checking it out. Shorties and Groovies will make their debuts this year. They were a collection of new animated shorts and music videos based on Cartoon Network, Hanna-Barbera, MGM, and Warner Bros. Characters. Shorties include a more edgier look at the classic cartoon characters with a different animation style in each short, while Groovies feature popular music artists performing original songs based on the shows. The most famous of these will be Jabberjaw by Pain. Ren and Stimpy creator John Kay will make 2 new Yogi Bear shorts, Boo Boo Runs Wild and A Day in the Life of Ranger Smith. Joe Barbera was not a fan, and I'll leave it at that. One notable event in 2000 was Cartoon Campaign 2000, Cartoon Network's first presidential election. This heavily promoted event is where kids at home could go online and vote for their favorite candidate, which include Cartoon Network characters such as Fred Flintstone, Dexter, Bugs Bunny, Brack, and Scooby-Doo. Not surprisingly, due to its resurgence in popularity at the time, Scooby-Doo was declared the winner and received 17.4% of the more than 3/4 of the million votes received. And as such, he was given his own marathon. Debuting this year was the short-lived Sheep in a Big City, created by Mo Williams of Sesame Street and Nick's The Offbeats fame. as well as The Brak Show, C-Lab 2021, Harvey Birdman, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. The latter four shows aired early in the morning without advertising or publicity as a testing ground of what was to come. JBVO, a spin-off of Johnny Bravo, would also debut. This was a show hosted by Johnny, similar to the Moxie Show a decade earlier, where Johnny would take viewers' requests of what cartoon they wanted to see, which was anything from the Cartoon Network library, except half-hour shows. Sorry, Dragon Ball Z. There were also appearances from other CN characters. The show was unsuccessful and ended in 2001. Also debuting was the anthology series, The Bob Clampett Show, showcasing the animator's famous shorts from Warner Brothers. And Toonami would acquire the rights to the anime Gundam Wing. Boomerang, which originally started out as a block, became a spin-off channel, which is now the home of many of the old Hanna-Barbera, Warner Bros., and MGM properties. Once original programming on Cartoon Network started to take off. Cartoon Summer aired this year, a summer block featuring reruns of cartoons, and it returned the following year. Special events this year include the Scooby-Doo Courage the Cowardly Dog Scare-a-thon and The Big Pig. The Big Pig aired on the retooled Cartoon Fridays, where viewers at home could vote online for their favorite animated pilots that could be potential half-hour series. The winner for 2000 was Grim and Evil, and the following year was Codename Kids Next Door. The misses usually varied in quality. Most of them were forgettable, but others were certainly entertaining and had potential, like Lost Cat and the Kitty Bobo Show. Some of the pilots were the last to be released and made by Hanna-Barbera. At the time, they were at the Imperial Bank building at Sherman Oaks, and not too long before the studio's absorption into Warner Brothers. One of the interstitials this year was The Stay Longers, a spoof of the CBS reality show Survivor, which was hugely popular at the time. It had the cartoon characters and Brak go up against the Hanna-Barbera characters. For some reason, Wonder Woman is on the Barbera's team. I guess Super Friends was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, but she's a DC Comics character first. I don't know, it's weird. Tom Clark will be the new announcer the second half of the year, all the way until early 2002.
Coming up next, it's the Acme Hour, followed by Animaniacs on Cartoon Network.
In 2001, President Betty Cohen, one of the people responsible for the channel since the beginning, was stepped down from her position. When asked, she told a reporter, "I was afraid I would die the queen of cartoons." Her successor was Jim Staples, who would take over from 2001 to 2007. Debuting this year, Time Squad, Grim and Evil, The Chuck Jones Show, Warner Brothers Justice League, The Popeye Show, and Samurai Jack, created by Dexter's Lab's own Jenny Tartakovsky. Speaking of which, Dexter's Lab will be revived for new episodes without the involvement of Jendy, running until its finale in 2003. Also debuting the late night block Adult Swim, with programming aimed at older audiences featuring original adult animated comedies and uncut anime. Adult Swim would also be the new home of Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Notable blocks this year include Cartoonolio, Primetime, The Best We Got, and a Cartoon Network Christmas Party. Specials include the final big game event, Bugs vs. Daffy, A Night of the Living Dew, a Johnny Bravo Christmas, Bill Plimpton's 12 Tiny Christmas Tales, and the Flintstones on the Rocks. Jumping over to 2002, the channel will celebrate its 10th anniversary with a short bumper. We would also see the new special event, the Fancy Anvil Awards Show, live in stereo, hosted by Johnny Bravo. It was an obvious parody of the Oscars and showcased many clips of various CN, Hanna-Barbera, MGM, and Warner Bros. Cartoons. It also featured live-action guests, such as the late Robert Williams, NSYNC's Chris Kirkpatrick, Charles Barkley, Debbie Allen, and Sandy Duncan. Scooby-Doo also received a Lifetime Achievement Award, and the highlight of the special was a short but sweet memorial dedicated to legendary animators like William Hanna, Maurice Noble, and Chuck Jones. The latter had recently passed a month earlier. Notable shows debuting this year include Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, Codename Kids Next Door, the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe reboot, and Hamtaro on Toonami, and Baby Looney Tunes, acquired from Warner Brothers. The Powerpuff Girls movie was released in theaters this year, and while Warner Bros. Didn't market the film well, it was promoted heavily on Cartoon Network, with several marathons to boot. The film received positive reviews from critics, but some were very critical of the violence. And it also bombed at the box office. In addition to poor marketing, It was also released the same summer as Spider-Man, Men in Black 2, Like Mike, Lilo and Stitch, and a live-action Scooby-Doo, so it had quite the competition. But it would premiere on Cartoon Network the following year. So far, it's Cartoon Network's first and only theatrical feature. Notable blocks and marathons this year include Cartoon Weekend Summerfest, Ed, Edd n Eddy's Pool Party, the premiere show, the Cartoon Top 5, and Scaretoon Fright Days. Also, the Iron Giant will premiere this year, and a 24-hour marathon will lead to a spike in popularity, ultimately becoming a cult classic. Actor Doug Priest would take over as announcer until 2003.
Coming up next, it's Baby Looney Tunes, followed by Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries on Cartoon Network.
In 2003, Adult Swim was given a rebrand, and the bumpers of Old People Swimming were replaced by ones featuring pics of a handbook. In addition, already canceled and soon-to-be canceled Fox shows like Futurama and Family Guy were aired in reruns this year. These were proved to be so popular, it would lead to both shows being revived. Debuting this year, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and Evil Con Carne spun off to Grim and Evil, Star Wars The Clone Wars, and from Warner Brothers, Teen Titans and Duck Dodgers. Also, acquired reruns include What's New Scooby-Doo, Sitting Ducks, Totally Spies. 2003 marked the end of Cartoon Fridays. It would be replaced by Summer Fridays and Cartoon Network's Fridays, until the fall, where the block was completely revamped into the New Fridays, featuring live-action hosts and new characters and shows. Memorable blocks include Camp Cartoon, Scooby Universe, Thanksgiving Day Cartoons Marathon, Saturday Video Entertainment System, The Last Bell, November premieres, Cartoon Network's Christmas, and Cartoon Theater Marathon. Specials include the infamous The Groovedians, It's Valentine's Day Johnny Bravo, The Night Before Christmas, Cartoon Network's Greatest Musical Moments, Powerpuff Girls Twas the Fight Before Christmas, and Cartoon Network's Funniest Bloopers and Other Embarrassing Moments, the latter hosted by voice actor Tom Kenny. The special, as the title suggests, featured bloopers from various Cartoon Network shows. Interesting enough, many of these will be released as a bonus feature on a Kellogg's promotion, Scooby-Doo and the Toon Tour Mysteries. And now we come to the final year of Powerhouse, 2004, where Kids WB's Muka Lucia aired in reruns, Mega's XLR debuted, the Ed's Day Off Marathon aired on MLK Day, which I remember recording it that day. Johnny Bravo will return in February, with its final season headed by series creator Van Partible, and Toonami will be replaced by Magoozy, and fans welcome the change with open arms.
What the fuck?
Notable events and specials include Craig Bartlett's Party Wagon pilot and May Movie Month. As the summer was right around the corner, it was time for a fresh look for CN. What was it? Well, join me next time. If you'd like to support this series and many other videos, click the link below to our Patreon. You could get a special credit at the end of each video, and a shout out to your YouTube channel or blog, a commission by me, and now my $5 tier, in addition to early access and special credits, you can request a Hanna-Barbera special or movie for me to review as part of my fantastic legacy of Hanna-Barbera minisode series. A lot goes into the making of these videos, and your help can make production go smoother, in terms of me paying for software, research materials, etc. And as always, if you're not able to donate, you could help by liking, commenting, subscribing, and clicking the bell icon. I thank you, and I gotta fly. I'll catch you later.